Okay guys, welcome back to another PD2 video here. This is a update to my previous video on the Barbarian Whirlwind. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I really like Whirlwind. I think it's better than Charge. So I don't know if it's the best physical build, but it certainly feels like it to me. So yeah, want to give you a little showcase here. My character's pretty much all the way there. I have 2 slots that I need slams for. I guess 3 slots, and then there's very minor upgrades I can make. So yeah, let's take a look. So start with the helm. So G-Face is not the best helm. The best helm is actually Veil of Steel, but it needs to be 3 sockets and it needs to have perfect enhanced damage on it as a base. So you need 80 enhanced damage. 75 is okay too, but anything below that and the G-Face is better. Yeah, so it's only marginally better. And I'll show you that. I made a spreadsheet with a simulator to test everything out. But yeah, of course, the next upgrade here is to get better jewels, or a Veil of Steel with better jewels. But the G-Face does just fine. It has a lot of deadly strike, a lot of strength, and the crushing blow, which doesn't matter that much, but it is nice to see. I'm still using the same fort. I could get a Tyrael's here with 3 sockets. And again, some GG jewels, and that would be more enhanced damage overall than a Fortitude. And I would also get Cannot Be Frozen, but that's 30, 40 high runes, maybe more, just for the Tyraels. And then those jewels I'm talking about, they're 10 high runes each. Okay. Marginal upgrade too. Not even, not like it's going to make this night and day. For the amulet, I am using a High Lords. I'm no longer using the Atmas. I am using a Vile Husk with my grandfather. So the Vile Husk is the source of amp damage in this build. Because we want to dual wield, because we don't want to weapon swap to keep frenzy stacks up, because we want to have the most melee splash damage, we are using 2 swords. And this is the best item for that. It's been up to a Balrog blade. It's ethereal. It has 2 ohms and a very good jewel in it, 14 max damage, and I think 38% ED that I found, and a Zod rune to make it indestructible. So the base damage of it is much higher than it would have been normally. And there's my grandfather. So this is 6 sockets ethereal. I made this. I bought a vial for 6 HRs early on while they were cheap, and I bought the grandfather for 7 HRs-ish. I vialed it myself. The base ED on this grandfather is, I think, 674, or sorry, 274. So it's almost perfect. And of course, I put ohms because they're just easier to come by. And it's the highest ED one I've seen on the site or in the game at 542 ED. Soul Drainers, still using the same ones. I do want to get some enhanced damage Soul Drainers. That would be nice. They're like 4.5. And I'm using Perfect Gore Riders that I've upped. Now, these are not the ones I need. I need ones with an all-res slam. And that will allow me to drop these 2 jewels, or sorry, charms, for more damage. I am using a Tranquil's Girth over here, so we're getting girthy. As you can see, it's got PDR slam, which is nice. It makes it almost a Verdungos, but not really. This is for Cannot Be Frozen, and that's because I have this awesome ring. This ring adds a lot of damage. 20 strength and 14 max damage is huge, and the all-res helps me out with my resistances, allowing me to wear max damage charms everywhere instead of resistance charms. This also helps a ton too. I have a Slam Danny for 27 all-res. But yeah, this is not a perfect ring by any means. but it's very strong. 20 strength and 14 max damage is more than a BK set ring, which I was using before with PDR Slam, although that makes me tankier. Yeah, so in order to wear that ring, I need Cannot Be Frozen, so that's why I'm using that. That's just temporary. Getting a Cannot Be Frozen High Lords is the plan. And I have my old Wisp. Still nothing on my swap. I could get bow sticks. Biggest change though is my barb. So my barb used to just be full IK, which was serviceable, but now he's running beast and 2 skill armor and a 3 skill slammed Andes. I am trying to get a 3 skill armor, but they're pretty pricey. He's also using arachnids for 1-to-all skills, and so with this, his might aura gets buffed a ton, and that's the main reason to use the merc, because the might aura increases your damage by a shit ton, more so than any other merc configuration for a barb. He's using lava goats. There's an error in my filter there. Note cannot be. So that half freeze duration. Maybe that's active. I don't know, but that's some error there. But anyway, this is just to give us enchant, which adds us a little bit of damage to us. And he's got some tri-res boots, just so his resistances aren't fucked. But he doesn't really need those. He does survive. I could upgrade this to a 10 Fant aura, but 9's fine. So he's giving me fanaticism and might, which is huge. And he survives. So yeah, let's I'll just show you the kill speed. What do I got here that's good? Yeah, let's do a Scovos. I'm gonna re-roll this a little bit. Bear with me. My favorite map, by the way. I think it's the best map for barbs. I am planning on making a video on rating the maps. I've been working on it in my spreadsheet as well. But yeah, that's to come. Lots of things to come. Okay, this looks good. Running out of shards here. Okay, so we got a nice, pretty decent density map there, 117. Slam didn't increase it at all, but whatever. Let's do a little test here. I got the DPS meter going, and we'll note the time is 9:30. The first thing you do is you just want to get your stacks of frenzy up. And then off you go, right? So I'm not going to stop for anything unless it's like something really strong. Oh, and actually on this map I do a different route. So I clear this little zone in here. I will pick up a shard. I mean, I'm going to pick up stuff afterwards, but we're just checking the speed here. My frenzy's still not max stacks. It should be in a sec here. And then on this map, what I do is I just don't stop. I just once I get here, off I go. And you'll see I'm going to come back and do another round. You can see my damage is over 200,000 now. Will occasionally stop to do like one frenzy here and there. And you see how I'm not wasting any time. I'm gonna heal my merc there. But this map's beautiful, and I'll show you why. Because it just does a loop. So you can just do a loop yourself, and on the second pass, anything that you didn't kill, you will kill. And it's much more effective. So I did one loop around there, and I will come back, do one. We're gonna go up here. Yeah, I love this one. We just go up. Come to the side a little bit there, but it's amazing. It's just a big hallway. This little area is a bit of a loop. Then we go up to the boss. Heal my merc again. Don't want him to die. Kill the boss. And we're not, well, I am going to come back to loot, but whatever. And now we just go straight down. Heal my merc again. Alright, now we're on our way back. So now I would start looting. And yeah, so the map's basically done. There's a little bit of looting to do, and you know, as you're looting, there is still going to be stuff for you to kill, so you can keep your frenzy up so that you keep your movement speed up. And just gonna close my window here again. Someone's got a campfire going or something and burning shit. Smells like ass. Alright. Looks like I lost my frenzy. I'll redo my buff there. Grab stuff as we go. And look, like, basically everything died. You know, if you're picking up stuff you want to pick up, you really don't have to come back here. If you spent, like, I don't know, a couple more seconds killing the packs that have big boys in them. Yeah, I don't want that. All right, and yeah. Now we go through the top here. Grab some of the stuff from when we started. And we're going to loop up and go around, and then that's the map. These guys hurt, eh? That's no good. Let's see if that's good. Maybe it's faster to just loot, but I don't know. I kind of like doing it this way. So I like just going, right, with the whirlwind and seeing what you get. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to go to the boss because I think I left stuff there by accident, but that's the map. That's the DPS. Let me go loot these couple things up here, and then, yeah, there's an amulet and some gloves to check out. That's pretty high ED, but not high enough to warrant, well, you know what, let's slam it anyways. 2 sockets. Yeah, it's still not anything. Slam this lidless. 2 sockets. Okay, I don't know if that's max or not, but we'll check out these gloves. They're shit. And that's the map. So let's go over to the spreadsheet now, and I'll share this with you guys. It's the same spreadsheet from last year where I made my big charge paladin comparison thing. I added a little page here for calculating your profits for Uber Ancients. So you plug in here the values of stuff, and then as you're doing runs, you just like record what you get, and it'll keep a tally here of what you've spent and what you've made. This is something I'm working on, but this is mostly complete, and I'll show you how it works. All my sim sheets, I made a few for WoW, work the same way. If you see a field that is yellow, it means that you can input a value there, and you're supposed to input a value there to change it based on what you're simulating. Values that are light blue are values that are calculated, so there's a formula there, so you don't touch those. Stuff that's like titles is usually, I don't know, green. This is the output of the whole thing, is your DPS here. And then, so this is the gear area, so it works top down. So each one of these is a piece of gear. So this is a G-face, 3OS, 4ED, and so you just plug in the values for what it is, and everything is taken care of. So if we want to compare a G-face to a veil, I'm going to just take what I have for a veil here, and you can see I've made some recordings here myself just to keep track of it. But right now our DPS at the setup is 99,918, so I'm just going to write that there. I'll plug in the veil, and we'll see the damage is that now. So you can compare the two. So the veil is slightly better if it's perfect. And so you can copy the sheet and add whatever items you want and, you know, monkey around with it. Don't touch any of the blue fields. They're formulas. Some of them are pretty complex. Some of them are pretty simple. There's one sheet for dual wield, and then there's another for just a two-hander, and it is working. I don't use two-hander, but the math is a little different for things, so use that one if you want for two-handers. So things you can change on it are, of course, all these fields. You can add the gear, and you know, it's not pretty, but it works. And then the other things you can change is your charm setup. So I have 3 different configurations for charms, right? And they're the only ones that matter for us. You can either use skillers with small charms that do max damage, or you can use all max damage charms. Or a third option is you can use all large charms that are max damage. And so the nuts and bolts of it is down here, but you don't actually touch any of these things. That should just be... That should also be like that. You don't touch that. And same with this. This is just data that it all uses. But these drop downs you can change. So let's say I wanted to use masteries, then I would also change my charm to skillers to match it. And then let's say I had perfect +4 small charms, and this is like that, but it doesn't matter because we're using the skillers one, not the large charms one. And you'll see our damage is 96. If we go back to using max damage, we're at 100. And let's say we have the best max damage charms, it's an extra 3,000 damage, or DPS. So that's how that works. Now, I didn't make it so that you could change each charm. I'm just assuming you have all of the charms that can fit in the slot to be 14. So it's not that granular, but you don't need it to be. The next thing to check is if you're dual wield or two-hand. This is kind of not needed for each sheet, but because I have a two-handed version and a dual-wield version, I kept it there. So make sure it's always dual-wield on the dual-wield sim sheet. And then your weapon type matters because it changes the calculation for strength and dexterity. If you're dual wielding two swords, it's always this one. If you're using one-handed swords or other shit, it's that one. And you'll see it slightly changes the damage output because dexterity and strength get calculated differently. So make sure that's correct. And then make sure your mastery is correct. If you're using a pole arm, pick a pole arm. If you're using a general mastery, pick general. So that's kind of the basic setup you should be using. You know, this is something that's pretty typical, right? You can also change the skill or type. So if we go masteries, combat, or war cries, we'll see the damage difference as well. No, we won't. We have to be on skillers for that to occur. So yeah, you can see masteries are 94, combat is 93, war cries is 92. And that's no surprise to anyone. And more things you can input here, your character level, that affects some formulas. These are hard points, so treat this like your skills. It is smart. Like if I have 1 in polearm mastery, yeah, I'll get all my stuff. But if I have no hard points, then it's a 0, obviously, because it doesn't matter if you have all skills. You can change your dex tier. Yeah, there's a little legend to explain. And then down here is the merc, so you can fiddle with this. This is I copied from before, but I did update it a little bit. But basically, okay, if you're using Templar's Might, you can choose which one you have, right? 8, 7, or 6 aura. If you got a Pride, you can choose how it rolled. Same with, well, Mage Slayer doesn't exist anymore, but I just left it there. Beast, you can choose. I have a 9, so that's why it's like that. And if you were doing that, you would do that. This other self stuff, that's just like left over from the palette. You can ignore that. None of it's being added to you anyways. This is how you choose your merc setup. So over here, we can choose which merc. These are the ones I programmed anyways. But yeah, it's on Might, Act 5 Might. And then Self Aura, I made this red, because it's for paladins. You don't have an aura, so just pick none. And then you can change the merc's armor. So you can have a Templars, and that will take whatever level that is, or, skills. Same with the helm. Flickering flames there, it's like a leftover thing. And then the weapon, I've got some weapons in here. Beast is what we're using. Merc belt can either have 1 skill or none. And then shield if you're using an Act 3. And basically, so you can pick all those things, and then it'll spit out here your total enhanced damage you're getting from your merc. So let's just note this. It's 365 currently for an Act 5 merc with Might. So let's pick the other very popular one, which is Act 2 Blessed Aim. And let's give him Templars with 8 skill, and let's give him the Pride. Okay. So you're going to get 16 Deadly Strike from this. Pride gives you 172 ED. And the armor is going to give you 90, and the total ED is 262. So we can just change those numbers, and it will reflect up here. So with the current gear setup, with the Act 2 Merc, we're doing 93,000 damage. If I switch this back to Might, with a Beast, we have a 94 damage, or 94,994 damage. Okay, so it's better. It is smart enough to know if you've overcapped your crit. So over here you can see this is where Deadly Strike is in the equation. If I were to somehow have more than that much Deadly Strike, let's just add 100 here. It caps it at 75. Now, let's say I have Deadly Strike cap of 15. It'll also adjust the cap. So it is set up for those things. I'll walk through the formula just so you're aware. It took a bit of research to get it perfect, but I had it pretty much perfect from before. I should go over what this simulates. So this simulates a 10-second fight. So 10 seconds of whirlwinding. Okay. You get 25 frames per second in Diablo 2. Even if your graphics are better, it's always that in the game code. So it's a total of 250 frames. And for Whirlwind, it's one attack with each weapon every 6 frames. So 2 attacks, basically, but 1 with each weapon. And with a two-hander, it's 5 attacks. It's 1 attack every 5 frames. And so these are the resulting number of attacks that occur in 10 seconds of whirlwinding. Got it? So weapon 1 and 2, that's your main hand, offhand, two-hand would be that. So yeah, so I'm also PDR 0. This doesn't include physical pierce. It's on there, but it doesn't calculate it. I'm going to maybe add that later, but it's pretty complicated. It doesn't include amp damage. It assumes you're whirlwinding, and crushing blow is not included. And you have a 100% chance to hit. Okay? And every 10 seconds that you're whirlwinding, you are hitting things that can be hit that have health. Okay, so those are all big assumptions, but I think they're good assumptions and good enough for us to hypothesize and look at some numbers and make some decisions. That's the whole point of this. It's, should I wear this ring? Is it better? Well, you can put all your gear in here and you can add the ring and you can compare the two and see just how much of a difference it is before you spend the money on it, right? So very quickly, I'll go over the formula. So we'll just go over the one weapon, which is weapon 1, which are the totals here, which is the weapon that's here. Okay, so the Vile Husk. Very important. We're dual wielding, so the min and max damage on the Vile Husk is lower because it's a two-handed sword. So make sure when you're inputting it, you put the right values. So these pull the values directly from here. So you don't have to worry about that. Weapon ED is the ED on the weapon, of course. The sum of the max damage, so is the max damage on the weapon itself you're attacking with, plus on your gear. And then this calculates off-weapon ED. So off-weapon ED is a combination of stuff you get from auras, your skill ED, your gear that gives you ED, and the bonus from your strength or dex, depending on what item you're using. So that calculates that, right? And then we don't have any mid damage. It's ethereal, so the ethereal bonus is 1.25, 25% better. And this is the result of that calculation. And so this is the low-end damage after ED. So 1921. And if we look, some stuff's changed here, but you can see it's very close. 1911 to 10547. Also, the character sheet, and this is with all my exact gear. So the character sheet does not reflect everything perfect. There are like some bugs in that, so just be aware of that. But basically, that's my Vile Husk's damage. And if we look at the grandfather, 4463, again, there's some stuff not reflected in here. It's because I don't have my auras on. Sorry. And I don't have my buffs. It assumes that too. So, yeah. Also, that's the attack damage. Yeah, so it's close. Close enough for me. Right. And then I should see exactly what's making it off a bit. I did change this ring. And I don't have the perfect charms. That's probably the difference here, is that my charms are kind of mix and matched, and I'm missing 2. So that's probably the discrepancy, to be honest. But as you can see, it's extremely close. Anyway, so we have our strength. That gets added. Dex. So these are all part of that previous calculation. Another thing that isn't incorporated yet is damage to undead and demons. We'll do another sim where like 50% of the enemies are undead, 25% are demons, and you can monkey around with those numbers. And I'm going to do that once I finish the map comparison chart, because that's part of what I'm doing here, is I want to determine which maps have what proportion of undead and demons in them, so that you can make informed decisions on whether or not you're going to use enhanced damage to demons or undead on these maps, and which maps to avoid. Like, let's say you have a build that has no damage to demons. There's probably some maps that are going to be shit for you, and some that are going to be better. So it'd be good to know that. And you really can't tell that just from at a glance. So that's why I'm making these charts. And basically you can make like a decision, right? So like Ariad's battlefield, 55% of the enemies are undead or demon. So it would be advantageous to wear gear that had that stats on it. Because most of the time you will be doing more damage if you had that gear. At some threshold, right? Anyway, that's there. Deadly Strike is here, so it's, like I said, it's smart and knows about the cap. Critical Strike comes from your general mastery. That's calculated here. That one was real fun to do. Yeah, look at that. Oh, it's fun. Bunch of if statements. Oh yeah, there it is. That was the funnest thing ever. No, it wasn't. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but it is coded. And then the cumulative crit is this formula. So that's the critical strike and the deadly strike. And then we have our average damage from a crit, which is of course just 1.5 damage. We have our number of attacks. And then we have a number of our attacks that are going to crit. And so then we have our number of attacks that are just regular attacks. And these should add up to the total number of attacks, which they do. Then we just calculate the damage that those crits do, the damage that the normal attacks do. We get the total damage. We sum both weapons. And we divide it by the time, which is 10 seconds. Okay, and that's how the DPS is displayed. So obviously this is working on averages, so it's a sim, but still valuable for comparing gear. For instance, I made a decision about wearing a rare ring over my BK set ring. So rare ring with 20 strength and 14 max damage is, let me just delete all this so it's not as confusing, is 94994 damage. If I use my BK ring, it is 93989 damage, right? Which is, you know, it's something. It's better, right? So that's why I did that. I switched my ring based on the sim, and it does feel better. So, yeah, when you're trying to pick gear, hopefully this is useful for you. If you have any questions about it, you know, reach out to me. I am also going to post a Discord where people can hang out if they want or ask questions or whatever. We'll see where that goes. I'm not really a big fan of like fan Discords. They don't appeal to me, but maybe other people. I don't know. I wouldn't even call you guys fans. You're just people who are interested in playing the game better. So, yeah, if you're interested in that and you want to have a space to discuss things outside of the regular means, or just ask me a question directly, I guess. I'll post the Discord. That'll be the place to do it. All right, so that's the video, and have a good one.